like to thank y'all for attending and call to order the meeting for April 8th, 2025. Planning and Zoning and Variance Commission for the City of Trinidad. I'd like to start by the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we all rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Armijo.
Present.
Spain.
Present.
Rolo. Norris.
Present.
Leone.
Go ahead and open for public comments. Did we do that at this?
Yeah. Public comments. I didn't have anything.
Okay. Have y'all had time to read the minutes from last? If we can get an approval for the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Nick, we got a
Yep.
second?
Yep. Armijo.
Yes.
Spain.
Yes, sir.
Norris.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Moving on to old business, I see we have none. Next, we'll move on to public hearings. Is it okay if we do them in order, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be moving to Duran Ventures 2025 sub-1. I believe we're supposed to ask for you to tell us about it now. Is that correct? Or do we ask for the people to come up?
Yep, we'll do a presentation first.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Staff.
You want to go?
You go ahead.
Okay. So this is a request by Duran Ventures for a major impact review. It's a major subdivision rezone. And then there's also a vacate attached to this. That's just to clean up some of the plating issues with Morris Canyon Road. So we actually saw this project. We heard this project at the October, let me see, try the date one more time. October 22nd, 2024 special meeting. It's the same project. They scaled down a little bit, but the overall area, the overall impact is still the same. It's a total 178.4 acres. It was previously zoned PUD. Currently, like I said, we found obsolete at the October 22nd, 2024 special meeting. So with obsolete PUD, there needs to be zoning controls in place, so the city requested the applicant submit a rezone application as well, which they have. The project is still planned in phases. This is where they scaled back a little bit. Phase 1 is lots 1 through 4. That's along Morris Canyon. It's totaling 4.39 acres. The proposed zoning for this phase 1 is residential estate. And then for phase 2, which is lots 5 through 9 under rezone, under plats, they're not going to receive land use approvals with this application. And the only request for this phase is actually the zoning. There's a plat note on there. Prior to any future development or re-subdivision of phase 2 as depicted here on, a development application is required to receive City of Trinidad approval pursuant to Chapter 14 of the City Municipal Code. Phase 2, the applicant is proposing several different uses, including residential in the form of single family, multifamily, as well as potential commercial use along Santa Fe Trail. The applicant will be submitting a major impact in the future for any of this development. And they'd have to come back for planning commission approvals as well. City staff has approved final engineering drawings for phase 1, and is working with the applicant on finalizing cost estimates for the development. This will be completed with a subdivision improvement agreement prior to taking it to council. There's 2 tracks in this first phase that are being proposed for open space dedication. Future trail connections are proposed in the future for these parcels. And then open land dedication for the balance of the development, all the other separate phases. that'll be completed as they go forward in those applications. So on the subdivision, it's in a growth area identified in the city's comprehensive plan, which is very good, what we're looking for. The property is going to be rezoned simultaneous with the subdivision application. Like I said, for phase one, it's going to be residential estate. This adds to the city's housing supply. And there's 2 spaces for open space as well. As I said, the utilities, their engineered plans are approved. Those are in good shape. And one note on the utilities though is the 4 single-family lots that are approved or that are being applied for in phase 1 are outside of the 400-foot sewer service area. So these will be on septic. The city doesn't want to take on the long-term maintenance of running a sewer line 400 plus feet, as well as the topography makes it a little bit difficult. As there's a possibility for a lift station, which would not very effective for 4 houses. So yeah, these 4 lots would be permitted to have septic systems. They'd have to go through Los Angeles County to get that approval.
Sorry, I'm gonna jump in real quick. You gotta keep in mind that when we do a subdivision application, the city staff reviews the infrastructure. And when, the applicant's responsible for building that infrastructure, but the city has a long-term obligation. And for 4 homes, maintaining a main that deep and also the lift station, that was what the determination was made on, as well as the 400-foot statutory requirement. So just make sure you're understanding that it was, while it would be ideal to have sewer, the long-term maintenance of a lift station was kind of a non-starter. Well, was a non-starter.
Can I ask a question? Okay, when we were talking about this earlier, we were talking about them needing to have engineered septic systems. I didn't bring it up then, but is there a problem with a problem with putting a septic that requires them to do an engineered septic system?
No, that's a statutory requirement now. CDPHE actually regulates septic, their IDM, or what is it, acronym, individual waste system, what am I?
OTWS.
Yes, thank you. And so those systems are actually regulated through CDPHE, and CDPHE delegates the inspection authority of the county. So the engineering requirement is a statutorily driven requirement at this point. So
Okay.
so that's why they are engineered now. But
Okay.
just to make that clear. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No problem.
So as I said before, there's a vacate part of this. So the applicant is assisting the city with the plating of the as-built alignment of Morris Canyon Road. Morris Canyon Road was platted, but it actually runs into the lots that we're looking to approve for subdivision. So in return, the city's deeding the previously platted right-of-way back to the applicant, as they own both sides of the right-of-way. This vacation deeding will be approved by City Council prior to first reading of the major subdivision rezone portions of this application. The Phase 1 plat delineates and dedicates required utility easements for the entire south frontage of Morris Canyon Road as well, and that extends into Lot 5.
So I want to also add here is this is unique. Again, Trinidad always gives me a run for my money on things I haven't dealt with in my professional career. What's really important to understand is that the existing condition of the platting of the old right-of-way is not the cause of the existing applicant. It was the defunct, bankrupt previous developer. So that's really important to note, because it's kind of the issue we're running into is a cadence issue of how to plat the actual road where it exists today versus the having to deed a right-of-way. And they can't plat city property into the 4 lots you're approving tonight without the city deeding back ownership. So there's going to be a cadence in which the actual ordinance for the quitclaim deed from the city of the right-of-way to the applicant is going to occur before the platting of the right-of-way. So there's going to be a period of time in there. But again, you wouldn't do it that way. You would plat a right-of-way and then build a road. But again, you got to keep in mind that the applicant is trying to rectify a plating error that was not caused by them. So I think it's important that the public record shows that, because it's again, you have a very unique circumstance that is atypical of how you would typically process this application. You wouldn't have a vacate. So anyways, I think it's important the commission understands that that condition is not the result of the application that you're seeing. It was because of the previous developer.
So yeah, then the public land dedication for residential development, it's not less than 15%. So for this subdivision, for phase 1, the development is dedicating 0.99 acres. That meets the 15%, so it's almost an acre of the entire phase 1. As I said before, phase 2 will be dedicated as the major impact applications get submitted. The rezone, as I said, it's currently zone PUD, which we found obsolete in October last year. Phase 1 is going to be residential estate. That's lots that are larger in size, greater than 15,000 square feet. And then phase 2 is a variety of districts, including community commercial, low density residential, medium density residential, high density residential, as well as residential estate as well. That should be in there as well. But we require a major impact application for the development of this phase. Let me see. I think we talked about the utilities quite a bit already. We're good on that one. Then I guess the next thing is the recommended action from staff is approval with conditions. The condition, any future development or subdivision of phase 2 is required to submit development application in accordance with chapter 14 of the municipal code. And this plat note shall be added to phase 1 subdivision plat for lot 5. So on one of the plats that we have, it has lot 5 being platted, and that note needs to be added as well. That's all I got. Yeah.
And just to clarify that, so when you look at it, you're looking at the first 4 lots are, let me do my directionally challenged here for a second. The east side of the site, right? But the issue we have is that we need to plat the southern extent of Morse Canyon Road. And so lot 5 has to be part of that platting so the city can recognize that southern extent of the right of way. So again, not a result of the applicant, that the road was built in the wrong spot, or vice versa, platted in the wrong spot, probably is the way to say it. And so just making sure that the commission understands and the plat reflects that the approval is only for the first 4 lots, if that makes sense. Right. But you just have an existing condition that we gotta clean up with this first phase, because the city needs legal access to Morse Canyon for all the reasons you probably understand. Right.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call up people to speak on the behalf of this project, please. Please come up to the microphone and introduce yourself. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, my name is John Olson. I'm the planner for the project, Urban Landscapes. With me tonight, we have Mike DeGrant, and we have Ray, Brett, and Jason, all with Duran Ventures.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so a lot of you have seen this before, a few times. Let's see, is there a clicker or is there a...
And we gotta do I think we're gonna have to do
Is this it? Is gonna work? No? No.
No, I think you're gonna have to do the.
I just have to go, oh boy, you want me to touch your screen?
Oh,
See?
see.
Fortunately, there's not too many slides, so.
There's the site.
Okay, there's an aerial of the site, so
You do this. I got you.
I'm more practiced.
so Morris Canyon, obviously the street is on the north side of these 4 lots that we're talking about. Then the actual Morris Canyon is on the south of it. So it's a very beautiful area. As you'll see in the next one, maybe the next one. Oh, these are the original ones. So this is the Country Club master plan back from 2006. So you can see you had golf course, mix of uses in that way. Obviously the commercial component that goes with that, whether it's like a bar and grill, that kind of thing. Then also single family residential and then some townhomes as well are kind of mixed into this, and some multifamily. So the goal today, as Nick and Michael had mentioned a few minutes ago, is these 4 lots, but it's also to clean up the zoning. Former zoning for the overall property was PUD. When we initially were looking at this, we were looking at kind of a little bit of a diversion from the code, so we were looking at an overall PUD, right, for this. But we don't know what the market's doing. I don't know that we could predict what the market was going to do, a year ago at this time. We definitely couldn't predict that. So what we've done is we've assigned zoning classifications to the properties today that meet your code. And we were trying to go and match those to what was existing back in the country club plan. So it's a mix of high density residential, medium density residential, and of course residential state and the community commercial component. This plan shows those first 4 lots. So you can see here, I'll go plan. So we got lot 1, then we have a tract, and I'll explain that in a minute. 2, 3, another tract, and then 4. So those 2 tracts were intended to provide, in particular, tract B that's on there, which is on the east side, a trail and pedestrian connection for the school. It made logical sense. And then the other tract A, was intended really for open space. There's some beautiful outcroppings in that area. So the developer did not want to necessarily give that beautiful piece of land with the outcroppings to one individual homeowner. Instead, they wanted to leave it in a tract. So it's a nice kind of element and piece to this. All 4 of these lots are over an acre. Overall, for the site, so you can see the upper right where it says RE on Morris Canyon, that's the 4 lots we're talking about. To its left, we also have some RE piece, and then below residential estate. The bigger picture is along the Santa Fe Trail that we would ideally have some commercial in the future, right along the trail, and then density kind of steps back from there, from the street. So those plans, although they were thought out, that's why the curves are there. We were thinking through kind of streets, alignments, and whatnot, and trying to guess as close as we could for the establishment of the zoning. But they're going to be coming back to you all at some point for a land use application. This is just a image of the plat, just for discussion purposes. With that, you can kind of see hatched on there is a 5-foot dedication of right-of-way along Morris Canyon, part of the city. And I don't know that I had too many more slides. This might be it. Oh, timeline. So timeline-wise, obviously Duran Ventures has other properties in town. So the development of Eagle Rock Phase 1 is underway. We actually just went by and looked at the curb and gutter today. It's coming together, especially as the ground thaws out here. So that's pretty exciting. Estates at Rancho Duran, that's these 4 lots we're talking about. And then after that, they want to kind of move back over to Eagle Rock for that Phase 2 piece, which would kind of get into, Mr. Norris, you had mentioned before, some of those patio homes and some of those more attainable products. So that's kind of what we're looking at over in that next piece of Eagle Rock. And then, although it says Rancho Duran Phase 2 for nomenclature of what we've been talking about, is probably Phase 2 through 20, 30, however many phases it is, but the rest of the land is a lot, so it'll take a while. I think that is the last one, the last image. So with that, we can go to another image or answer questions, or Ray, do you have anything you want to add or not?
I was gonna say probably phase 50.
Phase 50. There's a lot of phases.
That's excellent. Mr. Norris, do you have any questions for him?
My question would relate to, it's actually kind of one also to the city, but it goes back to, we're increasing the density that's going up and down Santa Fe Trail. Does the city have any plans for the widening of Santa Fe Trail, and or do we have setbacks?
No, so what's really
To
important,
allow for that, or?
so what's important to understand is that any of future phases will have to come back through major impact. And to be real blunt, when they come back for any kind of access off of Santa Fe Trail, when you do concept review, that will be the time to bring up a comment like that, because with that comment back to staff and to the applicant, a concept review would basically indicate is they're doing a traffic study to look at Santa Fe Trail, whether or not it needs any widening or any turn lanes, does it need a traffic light, something like that, even depending on density. So that's why we do the 3-step process here, where you would be meeting with the council. And again, to their credit, I guess I would say, they're trying to reach the low-hanging fruit here with this first phase, as well as, be real blunt, they're helping the city out with cleaning up the Morris Canyon right-of-way issue, which is a pretty big benefit to this plat for us dealing with this right now. So, but to your question is that condition that we're recommending basically requires that application to ensure that we would be doing that analysis.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
No, that was actually the only question I had.
I'd just like to thank you for the courage to move forward during these times. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. No, I need to ask for someone against. Is there anyone to speak against it, right?
Yeah, you can open it and close it.
Yeah, I don't believe there's no one here, so I'll go ahead and close that, and then we'll speak about it directly. Yeah. All right. What you got?
I think we're not, it's a logical progression, and so we're mainly doing a lot of cleanup on previous things, so I think power on.
I agree.
The only thing I'd like to ask about is this past problem. I know this has nothing to do with y'all, but this is cleaning this up, and we're making the right steps necessary to get this squared away.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm learning new things as I go in Trinidad. I mean, you wouldn't traditionally process a quick claim deed, but you would also not have a road that's 60 foot into a lot that someone wants to plat in the wrong location. But I do think that the one benefit of the previous developer was they dedicated the site for the school, and the community got that. But that obviously dictated where the road and access and everything else wound up being located. So it would, it is gonna, if you're just someone that reads public notices out there in Trinidad, you're probably gonna scratch your head of like, why is the city deeding something like this? But it's just a cadence issue, because we have to,
Yes, sir.
we have to deal with the transfer of land before they can plat the land.
I just wanted to make sure that we were moving forward in the appropriate way, so that we didn't have to deal with this. Let's put this thing to bed and be done with it. On that, we'll open the floor up for motions.
I'll make a motion to approve. What was the,
The condition is, the recommended condition that we would recommend and make a motion to approve with the condition that any future development is required to do a major impact review, or subject to future land use approvals.
and would they be required for that, to do that no matter what?
Just making sure it's part of the public record.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve with the condition that was just laid out.
A second.
We have a second. Go ahead and call for the vote.
Armijo,
I don't know if
Yes.
that's supposed to knock that thing or not.
Spain,
Yes, sir.
Norris.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheat sheet.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
Have a good one.
Okay, moving on to the next business. We have Mount Carmel Health, 2025 VAC-01.
Right corner.
So we have a presentation on the,
Yes. So Mount Carmel Health and Wellness and Community Center requested a major impact review to vacate a portion of LEA between Main Street and Church Street. It's approximately 1,233 square feet. And then also in this application, the applicant is going to dedicate 16-foot wide alley to the city of Trinidad. It's 1,671 square feet. And actually, this is kind of in conjunction. The city is working on a project for LEA between Columbia and Bella, basically.
yes, sir.
That we're going to work through that, but part of that was getting access to it. So actually, the applicant was working with us to make sure that we get access and that the parking lot that they own actually keeps their access and actually gets it's kind of cleaning up a little bit of their parking lot and then getting us access. So it's a very collaborative effort between the city and Mount Carmel Health and Wellness Community Center. So some observations. The only two property owners adjacent to proposed vacated right of way. One is the applicant, the other is Kip Hamden LLP. That's the owner of the Champions building. So this proposed vacated alleyway is not access used by the public. As the alley is not really improved, it's actually used as a parking lot, so it's an extension of their parking lot. And then the dedicated portion of the plat currently serves as an access into the parking lot. So like I said, it's just kind of cleaning up a little bit. The vacated right of way will go half to the applicant, half to the Kip Hamden LLP. And as I said, the city's working on a project for the unvacated portion of LEA. And then we get access through that dedicated portion actually to keep that project moving. Let's see. Some review criteria for vacate. The city of Trinidad is working on the so we have the project on the unvacated portion of LEA. The vacated portion is currently used as a parking lot, not necessary for the project. We'll be receiving, the city will be receiving access to the unvacated portion of LEA through the dedicate. All public facilities, utilities within the right of way will remain. Everyone will continue to have access to their properties. And as I said, the vacated portion is not used by the public. It's the street system around the block provides access to all the buildings. And then the applicant acknowledges that all current and future project utilities, accesses, other easements will be preserved. Like I said, this is a little more of a conjunction between the city and the applicant to get their parking lot squared away and make sure that the city keeps access. So if you look in the back page of your packet there, the very last page, it kind of shows you, because a lot of this is, so we could see that LEA actually is the green. That's what we're planning on vacating, and then the red is what's going to be dedicated. Everything to the south or the bottom of that picture is actually private property owned by those three entities. I believe it's Mantelli's, Terrabino, and Bella Luna. And then everything to the east, or the right on the green of that vacated, is owned by Kip Hamden LLP. And then the parking lot itself is owned by Mount Carmel. that's really all I have. I believe Tim Lamb, Gary Fedman are on the call as well if they can answer any questions. Like I said, it's more of a collaborative effort between the applicant and the city.
Thank you very much, Nick. Go ahead and open it up for them to speak on it, is that correct?
Yeah.
For the project, if you'd like to speak.
This is Tim Lamb. Yeah, we've been talking to the city about this for quite a while. It started between the conversation with Mike Valentine and myself. And I think it's a benefit to the city because it allows them to do the work they're doing in the LEA. Gets us a portion, that if they vacate that LEA, it gets a portion to us where we actually have some parking there. And then we allow the building owners on Main Street to back up to it to have a place to put their trash receptacles, and they have access that way. So everybody benefits on this. And as Nick said, it's been a collaborative effort with the city and us to try to get this done. So any consideration that you have is welcomed, and any questions you have too.
Appreciate you, sir. Mr. Norris, you got any questions?
Let's see, well, so the dedicated is right next, I mean, there's already dumpsters.
Yeah.
Fit more dumpsters in there and
So-
still be able to get around through the parking
So the
lot?
trash receptacles, I believe, are kind of fit in between. If you were to draw the green straight down, the red straight across, that's where actually the receptacles are going to go. So the
Yeah,
receptacles are going to still be, that's still LEA. That's going to be an unvacated portion of it.
okay,
So that's going to be on public property. They're dedicating just the access way, if that makes sense. If you're coming in on Convent, that you turn in there into that parking lot, that's going to be the dedication. It's going to be kind of that driveway there.
okay,
And then we'll tie into LEA, which runs, between the buildings there, kind of to the south. But yeah, then that corner is going to be the trash receptacles, and then that's going to be for use for those surrounding kind of buildings. Get that trash covered up.
okay.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan, Armijo?
I guess I'm a little confused at how this even worked out like that.
Huh?
I guess I'm a little confused at how this even worked out like this.
What do you mean?
I
The,
mean, you have a private parking lot,
yes,
it's being, looks like paved and striped.
it's paved and striped.
Right,
That's,
and then
yeah, privately.
This right of way that is in green has been paved and striped.
Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of cleaning up the parking lot. You heard the alleyway is being used as a parking lot. That's correct. So this is a chance for us to get access because we don't really have that access off of Church Street there. It's not. I mean, it's fine, but it's not worth the improvement. Because the dedicated is already improved to drive. Does that
I
make
understand
sense?
what you guys are trying to do, I guess I just don't understand how this all happened
Yeah.
in the first place.
It's just, I don't know. It's Old Town. A lot of the Champion Building and the parking lot were once owned by the same, so then they had an alleyway in between. You're a property owner on both sides. They just kind of said, well, that's also ours. And the city never really used it. It hasn't used it in the recent history, at least. It was used consistently prior to a lot of the construction around here. Because that was a way for, I believe, that's how they loaded. LEA was used for loading stuff into the brewery, I believe, actually. So but that's quite a while ago. Yeah. And no, it's a fair question because it catches everyone by surprise. They're like, wait, what? Who owns what? And,
Yeah, that's also how Main Street Live gets all their props and materials for.
yeah. So now
For stuff.
that'd be a public right of way now, which is
Okay.
a
So that's being used as a right of way.
but it's private property.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
A lot of people do assume that this parking lot's public, but it is actually a private property,
right.
private parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all the questions. Is there anyone else for the project, or?
So I would officially open and close the public hearing. Just
Okay, yeah, we need to, I guess, open and close the public hearing. Sorry about that, guys.
And I was,
We gotta get a cheat sheet for this.
Yeah.
I know, right?
That should be go a long way, I like it.
Yeah.
no worries.
Agreed.
And now we ask for someone against, is that true, or we just close it?
No, you just,
Forward.
because it, just real quick, just
Right.
because you were asking the question, whenever you notice a public hearing, you have to officially hold it,
Okay.
because it was a publicly noticed public hearing. So by opening it and then no one's in the audience,
Right.
and closing it, you've officially done your
Okay.
duty of holding a public hearing per code. Because it's a vacate by statute, you have to hold a public hearing.
Okay,
So-
and now I move on to comments from the
Yep.
board.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
We got,
I mean, well, personally, I've been affected by that being a private parking lot, but anyway, I think that this looks like a good cleanup of the way things have been and an improvement, so I'm in favor of it.
I have no questions.
okay.
I have no comment on this.
Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the vacate and the dedication.
I second it.
Appreciate you. Roll call?
Armijo,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Spain.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you helping the city work this out.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, now do I hit the gavel again and close and move on to reports? Anyone got any reports for us? Nick, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I have a couple. First of all, I'd like to say, like I said, or I think I told all you guys, but Commissioner Moderano resigned, so yeah, I want to just thank him for his serving the city of Trinidad, because I really appreciated Mr. Moderano. And then, as I said before, the Maverick, last meeting we had, Planning Commission asked to have the sign come to in conformity, so 55 feet. Maverick representative said they can do that, so it's going to be moving on to City Council next Tuesday, April 15th, for the final, or annexation, which takes a couple meetings as well, but it's moving forward. So yeah, thank you guys for that one. And then a side note for some of the stuff the development services team's been working on. We've been working on a lot of getting ready for demolition projects, I guess to say. So one of which is 612 Goddard, that the house formerly burned down. We did all our testing. We're putting out to bid to get it demoed, and it's unfortunate because that means when the city does it, the property owner's not. So we are going to be eating that cost, and then we will lean the property and hopefully get recouped back. It'll be fractions of what it actually cost, but we are moving forward on that, and I'm trying to push it to get it done in weeks. So enough was enough with that piece of property. That's all I can say. Another piece of property that catches a lot of people's eyes is the Opera House. City Council's had a focus on the Opera House. The foundation that currently owns it presented at council a couple weeks ago. There was a lot of questions asked about actually developing that property, and we've had more consistent back and forth with the foundation that owns it. So we're still working on, the main thing is getting that access opened, and then yeah, the next steps are, I don't quite know, but we're working towards some goals, and it's been more productive recently. So hopefully you guys will all see something.
Does the city have no real power over these things?
We're trying to take it, John. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's severe steps to be taken if they're refusing to do. It's a public safety hazard. It's a
Yeah.
liability for the city.
Yeah, the steps though, once you start getting into those steps, are I don't even say the C word, so out loud ever in a public hearing. So it's when you get into that realm, it takes time, and there's a lot of you have to follow due process, because the Constitution, the government can't take property, right, under the Constitution except for extreme cases. And when you do it, you have to go through a very detailed process. Otherwise, you wind up costing the city taxpayers money as well, just because you didn't do it right. So I've unfortunately been in Nick's position with properties in Salida that were in the same condition, falling down, and it's not fast, and it's especially
Yeah,
yeah.
but we're trying to work towards it, and I know it's a focus of councils as well, so that's good, because we'll hopefully get a lot of traction with it. So I've had enough, that's all I'm saying. 18 months is enough for me to deal with that building.
Commissioner support, Mr. Norris, you got anything?
Mine is kind of a more an observation or kind of a question, but in the code that we wrote and stuff, there was lots of verbiage about infill and trying to encourage infill and all that, and it seems like we're not getting any of those. We're not getting infill requests. So is that? So the only way, what we're getting requests are the opposite of that, on the outskirts and those kind of things. So how can we achieve the directive? On the one side, you could start saying no to some of the projects that are going on, but it kind of looks like we need develop any kind of development, period. And then it would be nice if it was in infill, but
Yeah, you have an existing comp plan, and that plan was done 10 years ago at least, no? Or
Yeah.
so
It's aging.
is aging,
Yeah.
and so, but that plan holds a lot of weight, and when Nick gives you in his staff report, he's giving you the guidance in the comp plan. So that's one thing where you can do that. The second thing too is you have to remember that your board's a reactionary board, right? You're not proactive. You guys, you sit in a position where people come to you, you don't go to them. So that's the other issue you have, is you kind of have to deal with what's coming at you. So I do think that infill development has quite a bit of challenges, and actually I'll give a quick update. Holy Trinity and the Church Street project. So the city received $4 million in funding from the state, and the staff has been working diligently. I'm not sure if you know this, but the sewer main's 22 feet deep out here. We have actually. I would commend. Again, I get to come in as an outsider, so I would commend the city staff for all the investigation work they've done. And we're going to be able to slip line large portions of that main, which will save the taxpayers lots of money. But there's still a couple cracks where we're going to have to dig down. I think there's 5 places we have to actually dig down in the main point repair. But to your point on infill development, just to put a kind of a scope on that, just to do a block or 2 blocks and get the service, there's only a 2-inch water main. That's the whole reason this whole project's doing what it's doing. Is a $4 million endeavor just for a downtown block. So just to put in perspective, that's why you're not seeing, you have a rate of return, right? Where a developer has to realize profit's not a dirty word in development, and they have to realize that. And the only reason this project moves forward is because the city was able to work with the development team of that property to go out and get the necessary additional grants to make it happen. And in exchange for that, the city's getting a benefit of workforce sustainable housing out of that project. So, but that's to answer your question. That's the real reality of when you have really old infrastructure like that. But you know, the beauty is, to your question, is you're putting in infrastructure, like the brewery building across the street now has adequate fire flows. Like currently doesn't even have enough to do a sprinkler system in that building, so you wouldn't even be able to really reuse it to the highest and best use. So those are the types of things that would, you know, when you think about downtown and infill development like that, those are the strategic decisions that the city needs to be making. And the Main Street project is the perfect example of the city taking time and the investment to do that. But it takes, you know, I can just tell you, because I'm starting to be gray enough that I can say this, that, you know, it takes 10 years before you really start to see people come and move in on this, you know, on that strategic investment the city makes. So.
Does that happen often in areas like this where there's so much available land around you?
Well, so I'll use Salida for an example. I mean, you know, our downtown, when I started as a city planner, had 28 vacant storefronts that looked just like this. And the city did exactly what, you know, we invested in doing some streetscape improvements. We really heavily invested in our river park, which you guys are looking at strategically with your planning. And it really took the city doing some significant investments. I mean, when I was interviewed for my position in Salida, and I told them I thought that we could make the historic downtown a beautiful, vibrant place where people would want to come and shop and recreate, I literally had some council member ask me if I was high. I mean, and I was like from Ohio, and I was like, what? like I was like, this is beautiful down here, and he was like, no, it's dangerous, buddy. You need to like be careful when you go down there, you know, and you're walking around. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, when we did the first river improvement, we pulled 28 junk cars out of the river in downtown Salina. I mean, or not 28, it was a lot. We were pulling cars out with a, you know, so and again, we had the steam plant. If you've been to Salina, the steam plant, that we called it the pigeon coop. I mean, it was, and it was a defunct, blighted building that no one wanted to touch, and the city had to take it on and made it an event center. But it cost the city, you know, and we couldn't, because the city didn't have money. We had to do it slowly over time. So I think you're starting to see the strategic investments that'll pay off over time. But it takes time. And you know, in urban renewal, I will commend them too. They have been really active in trying to leverage those resources. So that's the hard thing about planning. And this is like the only thing I can tell you from doing it for 20 years is like, I told Nick today, I'm like, there's no such thing as a planning emergency, because if you have a planning emergency, you're not doing your job, right? So, yeah, it's tough, but I mean, you're starting to see it, you know what I mean? And I think the other thing too is that the state's seeing it, right? So the state giving you know, coming to the table and partnering on a $4 million grant is part of, and they really investors, whether it's the state or a private investor, they want to see those, like the area plan that you guys put together, and those, and the, you know, the downtown river park planning that you're doing. Those types of vision and planning efforts are what draw investment, whether it's state investment or private investment. But I will tell you that most of the time it's public investment first and then private investment.
Right.
And you know, the big thing too that, you know, the only other thing I will say is the big thing is bringing a big economic driver to town. But until you have those amenities in place, that big business doesn't really want to locate.
You have to have workforce for a business.
Yep. So, and you're getting there. I mean, these housing projects it takes time, right?
Anything else? I'd just like to let y'all, the city, know that we see the efforts that you are making with the unhoused, with the parks, with the downtown, the improvement on the buildings, and we want you to know that we appreciate it. We know we can't get it all done overnight. It's all about sustained effort, and we really appreciate y'all helping us make the changes that we're making. Thank y'all very much. That's all I got. Can we get a motion?
Close. We're out here. Adjourn. You get the gavel.
Second. All right.